We are here for the finals of the Legacy 1K that was hosted by Chimera Gaming. These players are tenacious, to say the least. The day before this event, we did our ETB live stream, which was also we ended up playing, I think, 8 rounds of Magic, and then these guys did it again the very next day at this 1K event. So, we're going to see in the finals, Dominic Harvey piloting green-white lands against his opponent, which we've seen all throughout this top 8, Jacob Murray playing Patchwork Stompy. I am so excited to commentate this match because these are probably it was like the deck that I used to play and the deck or the archetype that I play now, which is lands. So I'm very happy to see that my deck choices are brilliant, to say the least. Whether or not my skill level is at the level of these two players, it's without a doubt a hard no. Because I'm sitting in this chair commentating with you guys, and they're there playing in the finals of this 1K. Looks like both players are ready to go. Dominic Harvey in the higher seed starts us off with an Ancient Tomb into a Sphere of Resistance. This card is very good against the Patchwork Stompy deck. It slows down all of the artifacts that they want to deploy very quickly by adding a tax of mana to each of them. So all of his 0-drops become 1-drops. And that's not what Jacob wants to be seeing. He starts off with a Lotus Petal and returns it back to Dom. Dom just gonna slam down a Thespian Stage, pass it back to Jacob. Jacob going to set up a Seat of the Synod. Gonna tap 2 mana. Here's an Emery. So she is a 3-mana card, gets discounted by 2 because of the Lotus Petal. I think they're just recounting the artifacts or the mana count on Emery, but yes. Jacob did do it correctly, but Dominic just going to retaliate with a Savannah into Source of Plowshare, get rid of the Emery. The Emery last turn milled Island, Metallic Rebuke, Mishra's Bauble, Aether Spellbomb. Wow, Jacob finds Ancient Tomb, which helps him very much play out through this Sphere of Resistance. Gonna play a Patchwork Automaton, the namesake of this deck, and then follows it up by tapping 1 mana to cast an Urza's Bauble, making the Patchwork Automaton a 2/2. Dominic going to untap for his turn, and let's see how he gets out from underneath this Patchwork Automaton. I think the easiest way around it is to just play a Dark Depths and get out a Merit Lodge. The Aether Spellbomb is in the graveyard, and Jacob won't be able to retaliate very quickly if it comes out now. Okay, it's not. Here's a second Sphere of Resistance. That'll bring Dom down to 16, because he does have to tap his Ancient Tomb. Gonna play a Wasteland for his turn, going to Wasteland the Ancient Tomb away. Jacob going to crack the Urza's Bauble, sees a Dark Depths, and gonna continue to his turn. So he draws 2 cards for this turn, 1 during his upkeep for the Urza's Bauble, 1 for his regular draw. Going to put down an Otawara Soaring City. Surprising, as that's a good way of dealing with Merit Lodge. It does also get around the Sphere of Resistance tax. Pays 2 mana for a Mishra's Bauble, gonna make that Patchwork Automaton 3 damage, putting Dom down to 13. Jacob going to Mishra's Bauble Dom Harvey. Dom going to reveal an Exploration and draw it for the turn. Looks like Jacob drew for his Mishra Bauble trigger. So Dom's Dom losing quite a bit of life pretty quickly here. Does he have a way of dealing with this Patchwork Automaton? And yeah, now Dom has to play under the Sphere of Resistance tax of his own. Decides to play a Dark Depths for his land for the turn. I hope Dom does decide to switch to that die Black ink does not work well on camera, unless you use a white background. All right, Patchwork going to swing in for 3 against Dom Harvey. Does Dom make the Merit Lodge, and will Jacob have an answer? I think the only way is if he has another Odawara and he has to pay the full 4 mana to bounce the Merit Lodge. I guess Dom could just... I think the event is the same. If Dom doesn't make the Merit Lodge, just goes to 10, and then tries to make it at the end of Jacob's turn, he can still respond by using Odawara if that's the case. Yeah, Dom looks like he has Life from the Loam Forest Exploration in hand, so navigating through these 2 Sphere of Resistances is not great. So yeah, Dom gonna lock himself out from casting spells. Jacob does have the second Odawara, gonna bounce that Merit Lodge before blockers, and Patchwork still going to hit for 13. Oh, I think he's down to 8 because of the Ancient Tomb. He had to tap for Thespian Stage. So here's 4 mana, going to cast a Life from the Loam, puts him down to 6 life, returns the Thespian Stage Wasteland and Dark Depths to the hand. Don't think Dominic Harvey has enough time because he is locking himself out from under these Sphere of Resistances. There's a Lotus Petal, going to pump that Patchwork Automaton up to a 4. There's a Mishra's Bauble, gonna pump it up to 5, swinging in for 5, drops Dominic down to 1. Dominic going to... Jacob, sorry. Going to crack the Mishra's Bauble, look at what Dominic draws. Not good enough. Dom scoops it up, puts Jacob ahead and up 1 game in the finals. Okay, party people, we are here for game number 2 between Dom Harvey on Lands and Jacob Murray on Patchwork Stompy. Both players immediately take a mulligan. I did not even get a chance to try and take a peek at their hands. All right, both players are looking at their opener hands. Both of them are on a mulligan to 6. So let's see if they are content with what they got. Looks like on Jacob's side, there's a Haywire Mite. Oh, okay. We're just off to the races. Both players keep their 6s. Dom gonna start off with Wooded Foothills, gonna crack it into an Elvish Reclaimer, putting himself down to 19. Jacob going to play an Urza Saga for his turn. And is he going to follow it up with anything else? There's a Mox Opal. There's a Mishra's Bauble. Doesn't have Metalcraft yet. There's a Haywire Mite. Now he has Metalcraft. And there is a Soul Guide Lantern. It's going to exile that Wooded Foothills when it enters the battlefield. So Jacob deploys the majority of his hand. Going to crack that Mishra's Bauble. Looks at the top of Dom's deck. It is going to be a Misty Rainforest that Dom draws for turn. Dom does have what looks to be a Riftstone Portal in his hand and a Beseiju Who Endures. Down comes Riftstone Portal. Not terrible because this Elvish Reclaimer can sacrifice it to get it into the graveyard pretty quickly. Jacob going to draw for his turn. That looks like a Patchwork Stompy, or sorry, Patchwork Automaton. All right, Jacob going to cast the Patchwork Automaton. Does not look like he has another mana source. Gonna pass the turn. Dom gonna activate Elvish Reclaimer at the end of his turn. So that says pay 2 mana, tap it, and sacrifice a land. If you do, you can search your deck for any land and have it enter the battlefield tapped. So Dom finds a Wasteland. Ooh, that's really good. So he realizes that or he notices that Jacob doesn't play a second land. He's unable to activate this Urza Saga, so might as well just strip it away while it cannot do anything. Whether or not that's actually the plan that he takes could change from what he drew for the turn. So I'm going to crack a Misty Rainforest. It is the land that he plays for his turn, so he is down to 18. He's going to find a regular forest. Jacob going to cut the deck. There is a Sphere of Resistance from Dom. Going to cut off Jacob's Urza Saga with the Wasteland. So now Jacob only has the Mox Opal for mana. And he has to navigate his way through this Sphere of Resistance as well. So it looks like there's a Lotus Petal and a Brazen Borrower in Jacob's hand. There is another Patchwork Automaton as well. And a Thought Monitor. So we know all of the contents of Jacob's hand. Jacob is going to activate the Mox Opal to activate the Haywire Might, get it into the... sacrifice it to get rid of the Sphere of Resistance. Jacob also gains 2 life because the Haywire Might died. And he's going to cast that Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal is going to put a counter on the Automaton. Looks like Jacob is now swinging for 2. Alright, Dom's just going to take it, go down to 16. Dom is going to draw for his turn. I think it was another Elvish Reclaimer. Down comes the Urza Saga. So hopefully this can start creating some number of threats for Dom. There is an Elvish Reclaimer in his hand. Whether or not he drew it for the turn is questionable. Dom just going to pass after playing the Urza Saga. At the beginning of Jacob's upkeep, he's going to exile the Elvish Reclaimer to cast Force of Vigor. So he had to do this because you cannot pay the alternate casting costs if it is your turn. So he had to wait for Jacob's turn. It looks like he's getting rid of Mox Opal and Patchwork Automaton, and he does pay the 2 mana for the ward cost. So Jacob only looking at a Lotus Petal and now another Mox Opal as mana sources. So Jacob still has Brazen Borrower, Thought Monitor, and Patchwork Automaton in hand. Just going to pass the turn back to Dom. Dom finds, I think that's the Surveil land. The green-white Surveil land. Looks like he's going to attack for 3. Brings Jacob down to 19. Dom going to play that land and Surveil. And he's going to keep it on top. Jacob going to draw for his turn. Finds another Patchwork Automaton. Just going to pass the turn. Dom prepares his constructs for deployment. Down comes 1. He's going to make another one. He is going to make another one. There's 2 constructs. They are both 2/2s. Is Jacob going to lose to his own permanent type? Wow, okay. And Dom finds the Haywire Might of his own. I think he's going to attack the Mox Opal. The construct is going to swing there. So he's swinging for 6 points of damage here. Looks like Jacob is just going to take it and go down to 13. Looks like he's passed. Jacob drew for turn. I think it's Seat of the Synod that he drew for the turn. So Jacob looking at Automaton, Thought Monitor, Brazen Borrower, and that is the 5th card, which is Seat of the Synod. Thought Monitor is going to come down and draw 2 cards. One is Emery, one is Aether Spellbomb. And Jacob's just going to pass the turn. Dom going to untap. I wonder if there's any way that Dom can increase his artifact count. Looks like there's a Life from the Loam. He can bring back that Wasteland. Looks like he's targeting Urza Saga, Wasteland, and Misty. There is a Soul Guide Lantern going to get cracked. Wow, Dom has the backup Urza Saga. These constructs come in, swinging in for 6 points of damage yet again, brings Jacob down to 7. And yeah, Jacob needs to find some action. There's an island. Dom has done a fantastic job of keeping Jacob's board quite anemic. Here's an Emery from Jacob. Let's see what he mills. Force of Negation, Mishra's Bauble, Kappa Cannoneer, and Lotus Petal. Probably would have loved to see that Kappa Cannoneer much earlier in the game. Yep, and he's just going to pass the turn after that Emery. Dom going to activate his Elvish Reclaimer, sacrificing his forest. What does he find? There's a Caracas. Gonna bounce the Emery. That's enough for Jacob to scoop it up. Dom taking it and making it tied 1-1 in the finals. All right, we are back for the final game in the finals between Dom Harvey on Selesnya Lands and his opponent Jacob Murray on Patchwork Stompy. Jacob did lose the last game, so he is on the play, and he's going to start off with a huge board. Ancient Tomb into Patchwork Automaton into Urza's Bauble, Lotus Petal. So that is a huge 4-4 with Ward 2 on turn 1. We're going to Urza's Bauble, going to reveal, I think it was a Mox Diamond. And looks like there's another Mox Diamond. Jacob going to draw 2 cards for the Urza's Bauble. Dom going to start off with a Mox Diamond. Looks like there's an Ancient Tomb in his hand. All right, Dom decides to ditch the Ancient Tomb to the Mox Diamond. Here's an Exploration. This is an 1-mana enchantment that allows him to play multiple lands for the turn. Going to Wasteland away the Ancient Tomb and then play a Windswept Heath to follow it up. Jacob going to play another Ancient Tomb on his turn. Looks like he has Lotus Petal, Emery, and I think that might be a nope, Brazen the Borrower. Here's another Lotus Petal that adds another counter to the Patchwork Automaton, making it a 5-5 with Ward 2. Here is a Haywire Might. So that means Jacob is going to take 2 points of damage. The Haywire Might is going to get rid of the Mox Diamond, bringing him back up to 18. Patchwork is going to swing at Dom Harvey for 5. Here's an Emery, Lurker of the Lock. Going to mill Urza Saga, Kappa Cannoneer, Seat of the Synod, and Mox Opal. And still at the end of Jacob's turn, Dom going to crack the Windswept Heath. In comes the Surveil Land. We're going to see just how good it is because it actually gives reasons to crack during the end step if you've done nothing else. Because it does come into play tapped. Very reminiscent of Modern. So we're going to see Dom try to figure out whether or not he wants to keep it. He does want to keep it. He is going to draw. Looks like it is a Maze of Ith. He does have a Pithing Needle and a Thespian Stage in hand. I'm going to see Dom play the Pithing Needle. Most likely going to be naming Emery Lurker of the Lock. There's a Wasteland on the Ancient Tomb yet again. And we're going to see Dom play a second land. Is it going to be the Thespian Stage? I don't think there's any reason not to. It's not like the 8-cast / Patchwork Stompy decks play Wastelands of their own. We're going to see Mox Opal come off the top. Gonna attack Dom for 7 points of damage, bringing him down to 7. There's a Maze of Ith for Dom. Jacob going to attack. Patchwork is going to get Maze of Ith. Dominic going to take 1 point of damage from the Emery. Dom going to play Urza's Saga, pass the turn. Jacob going to untap, draw, finds another Brazen Borrower, going to attack with the Emery and the Patchwork again. Dom going to activate the Maze of Ith, untap the Patchwork, take 1 point of damage from the Emery. Urza's Saga going to tick up to 2. There's there's a Wasteland for Dom. Jacob going to untap for his turn and draw. Looks like he found an island. So this Mox Opal is actually turned off. There's only 2 artifacts on the battlefield for Jacob's side. So he can't actually cast Petty Theft. There's a Pithing Needle for Jacob. He has to be naming Maze of Ith, right? Like it's the only thing that's preventing him from winning. Looks like it's on Dominic to act. It looks like he's in the tank. Okay, it looks like it resolved. Okay, so it looks like it resolved. Jacob went to attacks and Dom had to chump block with the token. Dom draws for his turn, makes another construct on the Urza Saga's way out. So we're going to see what does he dig for now and can he find an answer to this expedition map. Sorry, not the Pithing Needle. He does. He has another Haywire Might. So this Haywire Mite can get rid of the Pithing Needle because it cannot target non-creature, or it can't target creature artifacts. It has to target the Pithing Needle, and this will free Dominic's Maze of Ith. So it looks like Jacob still hasn't drawn another source of mana, but because he played the Pithing Needle, he does have Metalcraft with this Mox Opal. I wonder, so Jacob is probably thinking about trying to bounce this construct. Okay, he's gonna go good combat. He's going to attack with the construct. Dom going to activate the Haywire Mite. He gains 2 points of life for getting rid of the Pithing Needle. Oh, I guess he chump blocked with the Haywire Mite and then exiled the Pithing Needle, which makes sense. Okay, Dom has Swords to Plowshares, Mox Diamond, and a third card in hand that we don't know about. Dom deep in the tank here. Looks like he's just gonna pass the turn. Jacob just going to cast a Mishra's Bauble, going to put a +1/+1 counter on the Patchwork. It's going to become a 7/7. So Jacob in hand looking at Petty Theft, sorry, wow, Brazen Borrower, Emery Lurker of the Lock. But now he can cast these Petty Thefts because he does have Metalcraft now. He top decked that Mishra's Bauble. I guess one thing that Jacob can do is he could try to bounce the construct. Well, it doesn't really matter. If he bounces the... Oh, he's just choosing not to do anything. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing really in Jacob's graveyard that he would want. I mean, I guess he could try and get the Haywire Mite, but he needs another source of mana to do that. So he just passes to Dom. Dom draws for turn. Looks like Dom is literally not going to do anything and just pass the turn back to Jacob. Okay, Jacob going to try to Petty Theft here. Going to target the construct. What is Dom going to do? Is he incentivized to do anything? I don't think so, because it doesn't change anything about the board state other than the fact that Emery can start chipping in for damage again. The Maze of Ith is unlocked, so I guess at some point in time, Dom could make a could use the Thespian stage to copy the Maze of Ith. It looks like Dom is casting the Swords to Plowshare, but hasn't decided what he's targeting. Oh! Dominic Harvey targets his own construct to gain some life. How much life did he gain? I think he gained 2 life, right? So he should be up to 9. So he gained 2 life because it was the construct itself and the Pithing Needle. I wonder if I can see the life pad and see if 9 life is what he's supposed to be at. I'm pretty sure it's at 9. Okay, so Dom takes 1 damage from the Emery. The Patchwork Automaton got Maze of Ith. Then Jacob just passes back to Dom. Dom going to draw for his turn. It looks like that was a Caracas. If it was a Caracas, then he doesn't have to worry about this Emery. It is a Caracas. Oh, so now Jacob cannot get this chip damage in. Okay, very curious. So Dom just plays Caracas and passes the turn. Jacob gonna draw for his turn. Looks like Jacob picked up an Urza Saga. So down comes the Urza Saga. So he for sure has another Brazen Borrower and he has a Emery Lurker of the Lock. I'm confused. Am I missing something? Oh, because he has to pay the ward cost. I'm not smart. I completely forgot. All right, so everything makes sense now. Dom bounces Emery back to Jacob's hand with a Caracas at the end of Jacob's turn, or before he takes damage. So he should still be at 8. Okay. We all understand that. We're all on the same page now. Okay, so Wasteland targeting Urza's Saga. Jacob going to float the mana, and it looks like he's going to try to cast the Brazen Borrower. And wow, Dom finds another Maze of Ith, so that's a really good find. So Dom on the brink of survival for quite a number of turns here. There's an Aether Spellbomb going to grow the Patchwork Automaton. That die is horrible on camera. It should be a 1, so yep. Maze of Ith, both creatures. Dom is struggling to find a win condition here. He's just kind of kept the game state and allowed Jacob to develop his board. Dom just gonna pass the turn. Jacob gonna crack the bauble. Draws 2 cards on this turn. One is Seat of the Synod. The other one is... looks like it's a land. Go to combat. Maze of Ith activations. Nope. Okay, yeah. It looks like Jacob is done. Dominic has things to do that look like a Swords to Plowshares. Let's see... nothing happens. Dom going to untap, draw for his turn, finds another Wasteland. So I wonder what else is in Dom's hand, because he does have Exploration, so he's not finding land drops. Otherwise, he would be playing them. There's the Wasteland for turn. So there's 1 Mox Diamond in his hand. He has to make sure that he has enough mana to keep this Patchwork Automaton on lock. There's a second Seat of the Synod for Jacob. Gonna do the exact same thing. Maze of Ith, both of the creatures. Dom gonna tap a little bit differently this time around to leave... it doesn't matter. He's just gonna untap. Alright, so how is Dom gonna get out of this situation? There's a Yavimaya. It doesn't really change the state of this, because he is actually using the Maze of Iths to stop combat damage and not behind on mana. Although this does open other avenues now. This allows him to tap mana and kind of use that Swords to Plowshare on the construct. There's a Mishra's Bauble for Jacob. Exact same thing is going to happen. Dom just going to Maze of Ith both. Jacob gonna pass the turn. Is he gonna crack the Bauble though? Okay, so Thespian Stage is gonna copy Maze of Ith. Bauble is going to target Dom. Dom gonna draw for turn. It is a Life from the Loam. Okay, now we have an engine going with Exploration and Life from the Loam. But he needs to get out from under this Patchwork Automaton. I think Dom is hesitant to use the Swords to Plowshare on the Automaton because he can try to get a Merit Lodge, and if he does use that Swords to Plowshare, then it puts him out of range from being like one shot. But Dom gonna cast a Life from the Loam, finds Wasteland, Urza Saga. Gonna play a Wasteland for turn, gonna get rid of one of the Seat of Synods. Gonna pass the turn. Doesn't play a second land, which is questionable. Jacob gonna draw 2 cards because he did crack that Urza's Bauble before Dom drew. There's another Bauble, gonna grow that Patchwork Automaton. Gonna play a Lotus Petal. So now this Patchwork Automaton is an 11/11. So Dom doing all that he can to not give Jacob life. There's a Bauble again being cracked, targeting Dom. Jacob gonna do it on his own turn this time and draw during Dom's upkeep. Dom's gonna untap and dredge 3. Finds Reclaimer, Forest. Play Life from the Loam, targeting Wasteland, Forest. Alright, going to play a Mox Diamond. Going to discard the Forest, probably. Going to play Urza Saga for land number 1. I'm so confused. Why is he not playing 2 lands a turn? Am I missing something? If I am missing something, comment below. My mind is getting boomed. There's a Thoughtcast from Jacob gonna draw 2 cards. I feel so dumb right now. I understand that Jacob is doing everything that he can, but I'm so confused on why Dom is not playing 2 lands a turn. Is he playing 2 lands a turn? I'm just missing it? I don't think I'm missing it. He played Mox Diamond and he played Urza Saga, but no other land, and he didn't do that last turn either. Looks like there's going to be a Kappa Cannoneer from Jacob's side. There's the Kappa. This is going to be problematic. It does have Ward 4. It does have Ward 4, and then whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under his control, he gets a +1/+1 counter and gains unblockable until the end of the turn. Okay, so Dom is doing math. There's swords on Kappa Cannoneer, and you're going to tap the 4. Yeah, okay, so he is tapping it for the ward cost for the turtle. So I think Jacob... Does Jacob have any disruption? Like, he has so many cards in hand. I'm so confused. Looks like Jacob is conceding the game? Okay, well, it looks like Jacob conceded, and Dominic Harvey is the winner of that finals game. Congrats to Dom Harvey for taking the Chimera 1K. Hopefully he sees this video and gives a little insight, or you know, maybe if I run into him, I'll ask him what happened. And you guys want to know, comment down below, and I'll do my best to find out what happened in this game. Anywho, thank you for joining me on covering this event. I know it's a little bit more scuffed than the other events that I cover, but again, I wasn't there for this one. I was actually going in completely blind. I didn't know who was playing what decks. I didn't know who won. So everything was brand new to me, just like you guys. Hopefully that didn't affect my commentary too negatively. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one.